Today we butchered 2 turkeys, and I wanted to kind of, you can see I'm kind of nasty, I wanted to kind of go over butchering practices that I have while I'm still thinking about it. First off, before I forget, if you've ever seen pictures of people in other countries, maybe third world countries, with pots of chicken feet cooking, and never thought, oh my gosh, that's so nasty, why would anyone do this? The way that you do it is that when you butcher your animals that have claws and stuff, is when you dip your bird so that you can pluck it easier, you boil your water, you turn the water off, and then you dip your bird quickly, turn them upside down, make sure you get under all the feathers, you dip them, and then it makes it easy to pluck them. Well, you do the same thing with their feet. You have a small pot of water separate, and you bring the water to a boil, and then you let it just kind of come down just barely from a boil. And this is what a turkey's foot looks like after it has been peeled. That's right, peeled. So when you cook feet from poultry, you're not actually cooking anything that's come in contact with manure. You're cooking the part that is underneath the skin, even the claws pop off. So this is what it looks like after you have peeled the feet. So with turkey feet, you have to leave it in a lot longer than chicken feet. Chicken feet, you just dip them and pull them out. If you don't, it cooks them and they don't peel. The meat actually comes off the bone. So with turkeys, you have to actually leave them in and let them sit there for a while. They have these big horny scales on them, whereas with chickens, it's just pretty much skin. The turkeys have really, really thick scales. And so I actually use pliers to get the skin off these, otherwise it kind of hurts your fingernails. So soak them longer in the hot water. If you test first with chicken feet to see how long it takes for chicken feet, then I would probably do it 5 times as long for turkey feet. It takes some time. And when you make soup, if you want a really fabulous, good-for-you soup, you use feet, because they have collagen, they have minerals from the bones. It's just really, really good food. So when you do your broth, you put the chicken feet in, and if you don't like the look of chicken feet, you just scoop the feet out before you eat the soup. I just did these for my mom. So the other thing is, let's see. Here's my duck feet, and you just do them the same way. You just dip them and then skin them. I don't actually think that I skinned these ones, because their feet were super, super clean. I'm not sure if I did or not. Yeah, it's hard to tell. I don't think I did. But anyway, you peel them before you put them in the soup. And you have to do it when it's fresh. When I butcher animals, I use a 10-22. It's a long gun that has 22 bullets in it. And for animals with thick front skulls like sheep and goats, when they fight, they bash head on, so they have really thick skulls. You shoot them right between the ears in the back, because you don't want to shoot in the front because they've got that hard plate there, and you want to hit the brain. So in the back. With cows and pigs, you shoot them kind of just above and between the eyes. With poultry, if it's a large poultry, it's not fun to chase these birds around and try to catch them and get them to hold still long enough for you to cut their head off. So with large poultry, my neighbor is the one we get our free-range turkeys from. And it's like having my grandpa next door. He is so kind and generous. And it costs us $25 a bird to get his turkeys from him. He raises them on cracked corn and black sunflower seeds and grapes. And they actually cut the grapes up to give to him. And they raise their own baby turkeys. The moms go out and sit under a tree and hatch them out. So it's really neat. But he uses a 17 HMR. And that's the first time I've seen that caliber. But it's really easy. He just goes into the pen and he shoots them in the head from 15 feet away, and they bleed out just fine. He shoots, because of course he shoots them in the head, or he tries to get them in the jugular vein. So that's what I would do for geese or turkeys or peacocks or anything big, because they are so hard to hold down, and you need 2 people. And at least in my family, I'm the one that does the butchering, and so I need to be able to do it when my husband is not home. For chickens, what I do is I catch them and hang them upside down by their feet in a slip knot from my kids' swing set. And I do probably 7 at a time. Let them hang upside down for a few minutes. It could be as many as 2 minutes. To let the blood rush to their head and get them a little disoriented. And then I just walk along the line and cut their heads off really fast. Let them bleed out. I have my pot of water on my camp cooker, just half full, because if you fill it to the top, then when you put the chicken in, it overflows and your your heat source goes out. Your propane blows out. So fill your pot half full. You dunk them good. It will burn you, so make sure you use your feet and you pull them up and put them down. You just want to make sure the water gets under the feathers. I always dip my poultry. If I don't dip my poultry, then it takes forever, with the exception of geese. I dry pluck geese and I let them hang with their guts in for 4 days, and it tenderizes the meat. I only do that in the fall. You don't do that in summer, because it needs to be cold enough that they actually chill. And then after I butcher, I clean my kitchen. That's when I do my deep clean. It's the only time I mop. Because you get blood splatters everywhere and you get blood on the floor, and so I just move all my furniture out of my kitchen and I mop after I have butchered. And in the winter I love to butcher because it means I can chill my animals outside. I don't have to find room for all of it in the freezer. When I butcher in the winter, what I do is especially if it's a large bird, I put it in a pillowcase and then I tie the top shut, and then I go out to where I butchered it, or where I plucked it, and I take the slip knot and put it at the bottom of the knot and pull it down good, and I hang it in a tree for a couple days so that it can chill. You don't want to eat an animal until it has chilled, because if you go from dead animal to table, it'll be tough, because rigor mortis, it set rigor mortis and then it loosens up and it's tender, and then it tightens up and then it loosens up. So they need to have chilled and sat for a while, or else they're not tender and it's not tasty. And I think that was the only thing. And when you're butchering with your knives, don't get the ones with points on the tips, because when you're gutting them, that point on the tip will actually poke holes in the intestines and make a mess. So you want a rounded tip on your knives. And we do have a butcher block that I love. And if you use plastic ones for when you're using your cleaver, you'll actually split your plastic ones. You need a really good, solid, thick board. And Brandon Shearer, I think is his name, he does this incredibly good video about pork and mindful eating, and I think it's at Permies.com. Trying to remember what it's called. Anyway, fabulous. Brandon Sheardon. I'll have to look it up because it's a fabulous movie.